Hey guys, and welcome back to the accumulation zone. So today we will be looking at the SMT divergence, in my opinion the most powerful indicator for smart money concept traders or ICT concept traders, pretty much the same thing in my opinion. So I would say let's just get right into it. So what is SMT divergence? SMT divergence is a divergence between two very correlating pairs, like for example ES and NQ. You can also use the DXY and a foreign currency for the SMT divergence concept, but because I'm only focusing on indices, that's what I'm going to cover today. So, if you remember yesterday's or Friday's price action on Friday, the 28th of July, during the London session, that's really what we're going to be looking at. First, we're going to start out on a 15-minute time frame, and then I'm going to break it down and show you how you could have used the SMT divergence indicator. I'm going to still call it like this. Yeah, the thumbnail and the title might be a little bit catchy, but that's how the YouTube game works. So just being honest about it. Alright, so right here, we start out the day. This is Thursday's price action. We managed to close and open up right here. And if we compare both charts, ES and NQ on a 15-minute time frame, we can see we formed our low right here at 3:45 p.m. New York local time. And here we formed our Asian session low right at just 15 minutes after midnight. We had very similar price actions, so the correlation is still intact, and we can see that ES and NQ are highly correlated pairs. But the times where we do not see this correlation, that can make us that's going to be interesting, because we can use this as an indication for what's going to happen in the future. It's not working 100% of the time, but if you already have a good bias and now you have SMT divergence on top of that, well, that's ready to go. So, for example, here we formed a low, we opened up right here, 4:45 p.m., 6 p.m. Here we had that new day opening gap from Thursday till Friday. Same here on NQ, but note that we didn't make lower lows on NQ, we made higher lows. So right here, what happened? We cleared some sell side and continued to push back into buy side during the early Asian session. Take out some more buy side before dumping then back down. No SMT divergence between any of these lows right here. Then we slowly get into that London session. After this big sell-off, both indices make it back quickly just above this high. So yeah, right here, we also consolidate, use a fair value gap as support. So do we on NQ right here, this tiny little fair value gap. We use that as support, yes, wicks do the damage, but that's alright. And then London opened up right here at 3 a.m. and made that last push, which finally cleared this buy side above this high on both charts. So right now they're still in sync. Right here we cleared this buy side. But now we're coming to the interesting part. We're now inside of our kill zone. We do not care about Asian, blah blah blah. We do not trade this anyway. And what's standing out? Yes, you might be saying, oh, that's all hindsight, but you will also see that in a live market. And now the interesting part is how you're going to use it to your advantage. Alright, so as we can see, we formed this 2 a.m. low right here between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. Same right here on ES, right here at 2:15. I'm referencing this low. So we pushed up higher on ES, and then we got that short. If you remember, I mentioned, or I even took this trade on a live stream during the London session on Friday. We took this short into sell side liquidity, which played out perfectly on ES, while NQ just kept holding support in this fair value gap on the 15-minute. We can also see the same fair value gap right here on ES. Right here, that's the one. And I took this trade on ES short because we managed to close below it. Came back inside of this new bearish 15-minute right here to deliver us into sell side, which was an easy from right here. That was my entry, 5 handle short into sell side liquidity. And then the question really was, are we going to continue lower? And then that's where SMT divergence can come into play, because as we can see, only on ES we cleared the sell side. On NQ, we are miles away from that. We are still respecting this 15-minute discount. So here, there's no reason to believe that we are going to continue lower, especially right around 4:30 and 4:45. We're already starting to make our way back. We closed below the sell side liquidity, but now it's going to be interesting what's happening on ES, because only ES cleared the sell side. So it's now likely to go back to the upside, because stops have been taken, liquidity has been accumulated, and now they might have an easier way back to the upside. NQ didn't. So let's check ES on a 5-minute time frame and see what information we can get out of it. So we cleared the sell side. We had our short right here. Let's get rid of this stuff that's not interesting or important to us right now. We want to see why we're still watching NQ, because if NQ would, for example, also close below this bullish fair value gap, we might think or assume that NQ also is going to take out the sell side below this level. But it didn't, or it does not look like it so far. We would wait for that invalidation. And right here on ES we did. We had a quick sell-off. We didn't have that on NQ. And what did we leave behind? A bearish fair value gap that delivered us eventually into the sell side. So right now, this is my entire focus. I want to see how price is trading inside of this fair value gap. Are we going to use it as resistance to continue the delivery to the downside, while still watching NQ if it's still holding up? So let's use that crosshair. We're still inside the London kill zone, just at the end of it, and we see we get closer and closer to the high of this fair value gap. And then eventually at 5:15, right here on this candle, while NQ is still holding, we managed to close above it. So now we have a valid inversion fair value gap. Now we would expect support from this fair value gap. And note what we also left behind right here. We closed above it. That next 5-minute candle is an up close candle, leaving behind a new bullish discount. So now we have higher confluence, because we have overlapping fair value gaps and discounts. So we first of all have this inversion, and second of all this bullish fair value gap that we just left behind. And you can see how this darker gray area, that's the overlapping confluence. Yeah, and this would have been a pretty decent entry. We still have the confirmation that NQ is holding up, so we can label this as a fake out move to quickly clear stops, reverse. I know we are outside of kill zone, so we wouldn't have, or I personally wouldn't have taken that trade. But yeah, from here, this high confluence area, we ticked back into the inversion. We kept holding, that's important. We kept holding this bullish fair value gap. Yes, the wick went below it, but wicks do the damage and bodies tell the story. And we easily delivered into a low-hanging fruit 5-handed target. We had quite some, let's say, bearish fair value gaps where we had to make our way or push our way back through. We didn't really have that on NQ. We quickly delivered into buy side right here. So at this point in time, we actually had more SMT divergence, if you think about it, because at this point in time, right here on NQ, we already cleared this buy side. So we had this little pullback, bounce back of this fair value gap. We're outside of kill zone, so like I said, do not be too worried about it. We could have used the same concept. We find support on old support. We do not close below it. We left behind a bearish fair value gap. We managed to close above it, so right now it becomes an inversion. Inside of this inversion, what do we leave behind? Another bullish fair value gap. We wick inside of it and continue to eventually deliver into the buy side. So pretty much the same concept here, just a little bit different, all based on that NQ is really strong right here. Haven't even cleared the sell side below this low right here at 215, and just continue to deliver into buy side. While on ES we cleared this buy side, we used this inversion to frame our long also into buy side. So pretty much that ES can follow NQ and catch up. The only difference is that this has been the fake move for ES. We didn't see that on NQ. Knowing that, this can also be interesting because now you know this has been the Judas swing. With confirmation, we haven't had this on NQ. So what do we do with fake out moves? We measure from low to high if it's bearish, and from high to low if it's bullish. And then we use a 1 standard deviation. We can also use a 0.5 and see what we could target. So 0.5, this could have been our first target after knowing this is the fake out move on ES. Right here, pretty easy 15 handles. Nope. And where's our complete standard deviation? Right here. And we also managed to hit that. 22.75 handles, right at 4,600. And let's see where our high of the day was. This was on Friday, if you remember. Let's see. Let's use a negative 1.5 and a negative 2. That's pretty precise, eh? 2 standard deviations. We only wicked above it by, let's see, that's our negative 2. Three ticks. High of the day. Market structure shift, bearish value gap, drop back into sell side. Well, if that isn't precise enough for you, there you go. Alright, so, and this is pretty much the SMT divergence concept.